Welcome to the 343rd Commencement exercises at Harvard University. These festival rites held again in the venerable precincts of the Tercentenary Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm Dudley Hirschbach, and with me again this year, for the first time in fact, Diana Eck, Professor of Comparative Religion and Indian Studies.
I think only at Harvard, Dudley, do we have a professor of chemistry and a Nobel laureate at that, sitting at ringside here with a historian of religion. My field primarily is, as you know, the study of India and the religious traditions of India, but also the study of ritual and of religion in general and cultural events like these festival rites.
Indeed. My impression is somehow it's a little calmer than usual, but part of the charm of the festival rites at Harvard is the blend of dignity and tradition with just simple fun.
It really is. It is a great academic festival. Every seat in this Tercentenary Theater has a program on it that describes what is called these festival rites. And it is a combination of a solemn occasion with a festival, in the sense that it's not just this event this morning that is the Harvard commencement, though this is perhaps the most formal part of it, but a whole week of celebrations.
Yeah, the alumni come for reunions all the way up to the 75th reunion class, and there have been a total of 170 events, many symposia, concerts, clam bakes, all kinds of things. An incredibly rich, lively week.
It is that special combination of a kind of rite of passage, you might say, a very important ritual for those who are commencing, who are graduating, the seniors and all of the many graduates today of the various schools. I think there are something like 5,927 diplomas to be awarded today in the various schools this afternoon when the diplomas are actually handed out. But it's not just this ceremony, it also is this whole ingathering of reunion classes, 25th reunion, 35th, the 50th, ingathering of alumni to form, you might say, the body of the great group of Harvard graduates into which these seniors today are graduating and being incorporated.
It's in the words of the Harvard hymn, which was composed for the bicentennial of Harvard in 1836 by Reverend Samuel Gilman. It's from the age that is past to the age that is waiting before.
Well, and it's interesting that you quote that line, Dudley, because it really is a sense of being here in that interim space between the age that is past and the age that is waiting before. Harvard has changed so much in the last 20 years, especially the last 20 years, to become truly a world university with many, many students from all over the world, but also an increasing diversity of American students with the new immigration since 1965. Many, many Asian Americans, South Asian Americans. And I think a good example of that would be at yesterday's baccalaureate, when there were readings in Hebrew from the Hebrew Bible and from the New Testament, but also a reading in Arabic from the Quran and a reading in Sanskrit from the Vedas and the Upanishads. Now that's a different Harvard than many people remember, especially those who are coming back for their 50th reunion, say. So it's the age that is waiting before.
I understand that among our student body we have people who speak 90 different languages.
Really?
Yeah. We have a good view of the theater here. That elegant name, of course, pertains to the celebration of the tricentennial of Harvard, when this area, this lovely amphitheater, was named Tercentenary Theater. We might sort of outline what the agenda is. The seniors have emerged from chapel, which is always very memorable. Peter Gomes sends them off with a great sermon. That's a tradition. The procession starts, it in fact started about 10 minutes ago after the ringing of the Memorial Hall bell, a big 5-ton bell that peals out solemnly over the yard. One of the parts of this that I find most touching is the young students process in the old yard through lines of alumni and graduates. One of them is Mr. Frederick Crawford, 103 years old, class of 1913. And then, of course, the further parts of the procession include the President's Party, which will have the honored guests and many officials of the university, faculty, overseers. We may glimpse some of them now, I think.
I think we probably just did have a glimpse of Al Gore.
Uh-huh.
We will have a couple of guests that we'll interview and talk to as the moments before the beginning of the exercises. And I think the first is David Liu, who's coming up the ladder into our treehouse here at the moment.
And it's very appropriate. David should be our first guest. He's graduating first in his class at Harvard.
David, that was very impressive to sit in the faculty meeting the other night and see your name on top of that Summa stack with a grade record flawed by only one A-.
Right.
What did you get that one in?
That was in molecular biology. And biosciences 10.
It's a notorious course that I think gives only 6 A's in a very large class.
There were 3 A's my semester.
I see. Well, people will be able to joke about that for a long time because you've had a sensational academic career both before and on your way to Harvard.
Thank you.
I think our audience might be interested to know how it is that you decided to come to Harvard.
That's a good question. I think I tossed a coin at the end. It's a tough choice, as most people are aware of, and I think the prestige was a factor certainly, and the quality of the education was a factor, and I think those two things are really what make most people decide to come here. And the U.S. News and World Reports don't hurt either.
Sure. You did have a family connection. Your mother, I understand,
a very loose family connection, right? My mother was a postdoc here in physics a while ago.
Uh-huh. And she's now a professor of physics at University of California, Riverside.
That's correct, right.
Yeah. What's next for you, David?
I'll be attending graduate school at UC Berkeley in the next year, and hopefully I'll finish with a PhD within 5 or so years.
That's great.
I suspect it may be shorter. In any case, you already have done some quite significant research as an undergraduate, and you got launched in that in an interesting way.
Right. Right. I was really fortunate to join the Corey group, E.J. Corey's group in chemistry as a freshman, or at the end of my freshman year, and his guidance has really been phenomenal, and my experience in his labs has been something, perhaps the most valuable experience that I've had here.
And how did you get this opportunity to undertake research already in your freshman year?
It was sort of a very fortunate, almost an accident. As a result of a competition in my senior year of high school, I had the opportunity of attending the Nobel Prize ceremonies in Stockholm, Sweden, the year that he received his Nobel Prize in chemistry in 1990. And I remember I had a midterm in chemistry a week after that ceremony, and the midterm, being in organic chemistry, provided me with some questions which I thought would be appropriate to ask Professor Corey since he was at the Nobel Prize ceremonies. And so I remember asking him some, in retrospect, very naive questions, and then coming back to Harvard and asking if I could join his research group.
In addition to all your stellar work and your courses and this research, you did lots of other things as an undergraduate. Debate team and service projects. I would think that some prospective students who might be listening to this program wonder if you have any advice how to manage to do so many things.
My advice?
As an undergraduate?
Buy low, sell high. No. I think I really went through a transformation over the 4 years, and my first 2 years I was pretty serious into the academic aspect of life here, and then the last 2 years I've really sort of let myself loose a little bit and relaxed a lot more and enjoyed some of the other activities, the hand program and some of the other clubs around Harvard, and those experiences have definitely proved to be as enriching as the classes which I took so seriously before. So I really think that it's worthwhile to be a serious student initially. It's also worthwhile to explore other activities as you mature through the 4 years here.
As someone who teaches freshman chemistry, I think I'll show this little clip to my class next fall. It's excellent advice.
Thank you.
David, wonderful to talk with you this morning.
We will let you make your way back to the Courier House group.
Right. I'll have
right.
to find my way through this sea of chaos here.
Congratulate you on a splendid performance. And
Thank you.
In particular, your latest academic award, the Sophia Freund Award, to the top graduating senior.
And a Hoops Prize
Thank
as
you.
well.
Prize as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dudley, we've just seen the beginning of the President's Division arrive on the stage. That division, as you know, is led by the sheriff, this year not the sheriff of Middlesex County, but the sheriff of Suffolk County, Robert
Mr.
Rufo.
Yes.
And then President Rudenstein, who is escorted by the Marshal Rick Hunt, followed by the members of the corporation, the 6 powerful men who are members of what is said to be the oldest corporation in the Western Hemisphere, and followed by the Honorable and Reverend Board of Overseers, of whom there are 30
We see
elected
Vice
for a
President Gore,
6-year
excuse
term.
me, yes. Uh-huh.
And here we see one of the honorands, Vice President Gore, being escorted into the Tercentenary Theater.
He will give a speech to the Media and Alumni Association this afternoon. The newspapers all mention him, as they ordinarily do, as the commencement speaker. But in fact, for me, one of the nicest aspects of the Harvard tradition is that students who actually
That's right.
speak at these morning exercises are honored guests, such as Vice President Gore speaks in the afternoon to what is actually a meeting of the Alumni
Of the
Association.
Alumni Association. There's Al Gore again making his way down the aisle, greeted on both sides by handshakes and cheers. Al Gore is, of course, here also for his 25th reunion. He was in the class of 1969 that is having its reunion today. I think we see John Kenneth Galbraith there on the
He's
screen in
unmistakable landmark.
one of the white robes that he got probably from one of the universities in India, but he
Yes.
has innumerable honorary degrees, and he'll be sitting on the platform today as well.
One of the most familiar figures for many years. Still, things seem rather calm compared with some occasions in the past. For instance, in 1797, the commencement exercises included a live elephant, 2-headed calves, an archery contest between the Indians of Natick and Harvard students. The Indians won.
Well, and there always is both a disruptive aspect of some of these occasions as well, and I don't think we're going to see any protests over any issues, not that I know of this year, but there certainly have been in the past. We have another guest that is with us, Deborah Evans, who is going to climb up the ladder in just a moment. Deborah is from Harvard Divinity School and will be getting a Master's of Theological Studies today.
Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
Masters of Theological Studies. You're a little closer to heaven once you've got up in what we like to call a tree house here. Actually, a little house on stilts.
Deborah, this is your second Harvard commencement.
Yes,
Tell
it
us
is.
about your first one.
Well, I graduated from Harvard Business School in 1991. And that was a really special occasion, but my interest led me to Harvard Divinity School a year later, after doing research at the business school for 1 year. So I've had a chance over the past few years to combine business and religion.
And what are the links that you see? Most people don't see business and religion
That's
going
right.
together so well, and it's very unusual to have a divinity degree and a business degree.
That's true. Well, I see, when I look at inner city areas in America and look at the revitalization of the black community, when I look at economic issues, I can't separate them from the spiritual issues that also are facing African Americans and Hispanic Americans in inner city areas. So it's my belief that if we're truly going to revitalize urban America, it's going to have to be done on the business front and on a religious front.
Deborah,
Yes.
you and others in the Divinity School put on a conference this year that I think made quite a beginning on that road. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's in April.
Yes, it was in April. The name of the conference, or the theme, was the Black Church's Economic Responsibility for a New Urban Agenda. And what we did, we brought about 400 pastors, business leaders, politicians together to discuss how the black church can become more involved in revitalizing inner city areas. And that's by starting businesses, supporting businesses, housing development, looking at how churches can develop credit unions and community development corporations. So it was a really special 3-day event for us at the Divinity School and across the campus as a whole.
It's very exciting.
It strikes me this is a wonderful effort and consistent with what I understand people in government talk about a lot now. I mean, government scholars,
Yes.
not politicians. Social capital.
You know,
Social capital is something really tangible and valuable.
that's true. And one of the beautiful things about today is that it's the next step for me to move into my doctoral work. I was recently accepted into the PhD program here. And my doctoral degree will combine religion and government. Well, it's between the Divinity School and the Kennedy School of Government, and looking at black church economic development. So I think it gives me the chance to sort of bring all of these areas together into an interdisciplinary approach to looking at economic development.
Deborah, is your son here today somewhere? Do you have any idea where?
Well, my son is at school. Yes, he's at school. He thought he was going to be here, and he really wanted to be. But he does have school today.
And
but,
he is how old?
He's 11, and he's here with me in heart.
That's great.
Well, we will be able to give you a videotape that includes this interview. So
Wonderful.
he will see that.
Your
too.
son can see it. He can have a ringside seat.
All right, can I say hi to my mother and father
Please
in
do.
By all
Oakland,
means.
California? Hello, Mom and Dad. Thanks for everything. I love you.
Thank you.
Bye, Deborah.
Okay.
Congratulations. For all of these students, this is, as I mentioned earlier, Dudley, a real rite of passage. And as anthropologists will often tell us, rites of passage involve 3 distinctive steps. There are rites of separation,
Yes.
where one finally says those farewells to people you've been with for a long time. Rites of transition, and of course the greatest rites of transition are these processions that we're seeing. Processions are archetypal rites of transition, and Commencement Day is full of processions of seniors to the baccalaureate, processions of seniors to the chapel this morning led by the bagpipes, and now this procession of seniors from the old yard here into the Tercentenary Theater to take their seats. And then finally, having done the transition, there are rites of incorporation, being incorporated into the new status. And of course, there are many of those kinds of rites. Maybe the best rites of incorporation are feasts, where you actually eat with everybody. But here, maybe the first major one is the speech act of being conferred a degree, which is done at this morning ceremony, not by handing out a diploma, but by what we would call a speech act of the president,
A
conferring
benediction.
upon people.
Yes. That's right.
In fact, there were no actual diplomas for many, many years at Harvard. You could pay for a written diploma if you wanted one, but you were considered to be graduated if, when the president conferred upon the class their respective degree. And we'll hear the ways in which that is done verbally this morning by President Rudenstein.
Well, in fact, up until after the Civil War, advanced degrees were obtained by staying out of jail for 3 years and paying $5. That would get you
We'd
a
get
law
people-
degree or a medical degree.
Get everybody through much quicker that way. Or maybe we would, I don't know.
Well, you mentioned feast as an important part of these rituals, and there's plenty of feasting that goes on right after these morning exercises. The students, of course, all go off to their houses where there are individual commencement exercises in each house. That's where they'll actually receive their diplomas from their housemasters. And likewise, the various graduate schools go off to special locations for special ceremonies. Then comes the feasting. The largest such feast is held here over in the old yard and hosted by the 25th reunion class. And there'll be 14,000 people eating.
Oh, my heavens.
I always like to recite some of the numbers.
Give us the numbers. How
They
many?
consume 2 tons of beef and 2 tons of poultry, 2 tons of vegetables, a ton of bacon, ham, sausage, and veal, 1,400 pounds of salmon, 500 pounds of shrimp, 480 pounds of asparagus, 800 gallons of orange juice, lots of other unspecified beverages. It's really
And literally every square foot of available space in
Incredible scene.
all of the yards of the large and diverse campus of Harvard are filled with striped awnings, green and white striped awnings, yellow and white striped awnings, and tents to host these many spreads, as they're called.
Yes, and the spreads require places for people to sit. And during this commencement week, with all the reunion activities and these different sub-commencements elsewhere, Harvard winds up renting every available rental chair in New England, a total of 70,000.
My heavens. Even here in the Tercentenary Theater, there's something like 20,000 chairs, and
That's
not everyone
right.
has a seat either.
That's right. There'll be roughly 27,000 people crowded in this little amphitheater. 3,000 or 4,000 will be strolling around.
One of the most interesting things about this gathering in the Tercentenary Theater is that this is really the only time that the university as a whole gathers in this ritual space. And on the second Thursday in June every year, this part of Harvard Yard changes its name, and all the tickets read Tercentenary Theater, etc. It's a meeting of people, but of course more than that, it is also a meeting through time. When the 300th anniversary festivities ended in the year 1936, they adjourned until the year 2036, and that was the adjourning motion. Meeting will adjourn until 2036, an astounding projection of a community forward into time.
Well, of course, we did celebrate the 350th.
Yeah, they didn't count on that at the time. The 350th, of course, is the time at which all of these splendid banners that now decorate the yard were hung for the first time. That was in 1986.
Each house has its own coat of arms displayed in the banner, and all of the graduate schools likewise have devised their own arms for the occasion display. And this, of course, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, Business Administration, Dental Medicine, Design, the Divinity School, School of Education, the John Kennedy School of Government, Law School, Medical School, School of Public Health, University Extension School, all of those are parts of this great Harvard empire. I think, Diane, that Emily Vermeulen may have arrived. We like to always interview a graduating professor, so to speak, as well. Emily is becoming emeritus this year. And, she is accustomed to climbing up this ladder to a treehouse because, as many of our listeners know, for 13 years or so, she was the TV commentator.
She was sitting where I am today.
So here comes Emily.
Emily, this is a familiar post for you up here. Do you miss your commentarial role this morning?
I'm so glad to give it to you, Diana. Nothing makes me happier than to see you and Dudley up here smiling together.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous sight. You can see you're like a beacon from way over there.
Oh, gosh.
It's really the best seat in the house. We get to see everything that's down before us, and also what the viewers see at home on the monitors. We have the best of both views of these.
Well, I
rides.
want to wish you a very happy future in this good job.
It's been great fun. And let me offer my congratulations. We haven't had a chance to do it yet in the Phi Beta Kappa Teaching Award. You
Oh,
received
that was
yesterday.
very special. The students wrote it in such a way. It had nothing to do with me. It's the way the students wrote.
Well.
But you may congratulate me on my retirement. I'm very happy to be retiring.
Which is for the purpose of having more time to work.
To learn more about dolphins, as you have begun to teach us.
Oh, I see. I see. Well,
Thank you both.
Emily, you came in 1969? Or
In the spring of 69.
In the spring of 69, so you really came at the time this 25th reunion
Oh,
class
unforgettable.
graduated. Must have been an
Unforgettable.
unforgettable time.
what a beginning.
Blood in the bushes all over the steps of University Hall. You remember.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, it isn't forgettable.
And were you here at that commencement in 1969
Yes.
as well? Because that was the one, as I recall, it would have been the one that was disrupted by one of the SDS students coming up and grabbing the mic.
Tried hard, but the students didn't really want to be disrupted. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They didn't really want to have a riot.
It was clear the message, I think, came through.
Yeah. You know, the students that spring were boycotting the classrooms, but they didn't want to miss their classes, so everybody met on the grass all spring. It was very, not hypocritical, but a nice double standard. Protest, but work.
Emily, when you first came on the faculty, you were one of the very few tenured women professors.
I was it.
You
I was
were it.
the one.
You were the one.
In fact, there had been only one before you, Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin, appointed in 1955.
Astronomy,
That's
and
right.
then the other holders of the Radcliffe Chair, Helen Maud Cam and Cora Dubois, were ahead of me.
Aha. Yeah. You've had the span of 25 years here. Do you have any reflections on the transformations you've witnessed?
I don't know about transformations because Harvard changes with every incoming class and every outgoing class, but I will say there's no institution where you could meet more interesting or talented people. I don't believe there's an institution in the world that collects more interesting people about itself.
I certainly believe that myself, and we have one of them with us right here.
Sweetheart.
A very distinguished scholar. I mean, I enjoy, for instance, just to mention one lovely piece of yours, the paper on Homer and Jefferson, which you gave at the American Philosophical Society last spring.
That was funny, wasn't it?
So in addition to your scholarship, to your distinguished teaching, however, you have many other dimensions, and one of them, you're famous as a Red Sox fan. I thought our audience
Everyone
might
secretly
like to hear
suspects that you're retiring so that you can go to more Red Sox
some
games.
of your
Bat boy.
reflections connecting the saga of the Red Sox with the Greek tragedies.
Well, that's really why I'm retiring. I have to spend more time on the Red Sox. They shouldn't be allowed to upset us as much as they do.
But I think it might help quite a few of our listeners if you gave them that perspective. Maybe you could tell us just a bit about how you connect with the Greek tragedies.
Oh, it's because you can't be a hero unless you're dead. It's one of the rules of the game. So the Red Sox die every fall and therefore achieve heroic status because they tried hard
Aha. So that
and they gave up their life for it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good enough.
That's more noble than winning the World Series.
I think so,
Yeah.
sure.
Gee,
Sure.
that does give you a whole new way of looking at it.
Tragic stature.
Emily,
So I
thank
wish
you.
both of you
Yes.
the very best of luck.
And to you.
And what
I
a
mean,
gorgeous day.
It really is a
splendid.
glorious day.
It is
Thank you.
absolutely splendid. So once more down that rickety ladder, Emily, thank you.
Some of our seniors greeting one another. I think there are something like 78 Sumas in this class. They are seated in the front of the row of seniors. They are more or less the class representatives, and they are the ones who, along with the class marshals, will come forward at the time of the awarding of the A.B. degrees. They'll come forward and stand on the platform and receive a handshake from President Lyndon Wilson, President Neil Rudenstein.
Just before we start, it might be well to remind people how things began. The first commencement was in 1642 and had only 9 commencers, 20 people in the audience. Each of the commencers had to deliver an oration, either in Hebrew, Greek, or Latin. Afterwards, there was a feast and so on, and also an afternoon disputations in Latin.
So they actually had to defend themselves those days from the questions of the faculty.
But most people have no idea, seeing the size of things now, that, say, up until, as I say, the Civil War time, Harvard was a small place. For example, Emerson graduated in 1821 in a class of 59. Incidentally, he was 30th in his class, so was not elected to Phi Beta Kappa. He was class poet, but only because 6 other people turned it down first.
exactly where did you learn this? This is very
Little
interesting.
tidbits you pick up along the way.
We should actually mention, just in passing though, that the Phi Beta Kappa exercises yesterday, the day before, that the orator this year was Madeleine Albright,
Yes.
Ambassador of the United Nations, and the poet this year was Allen Ginsberg.
Yes.
And that was also a wonderful,
terrific.
wonderful event. I had the privilege of sitting next to Allen Ginsberg at a dinner the night before and talking about all of the gurus of the 70s we had known.
Well, certainly back then he never imagined he'd be taking part in something like that here.
But it certainly is an expansion of size, even since Emerson's day. We see a couple of the marshals walking down the central aisle as if to announce to Rick Hunt, the university marshal, that the audience is seated, and there is Richard Hunt, the chief protocol officer of the university marshal. Behind him, Neil Rudenstein.
There he gives a signal, and we should hear the bell.
Linda Wilson. The chair in which Rudenstein sits is also 17th century.
The mighty bell, 5-ton bell.
Mr. Sheriff, pray give us order.
Robert Rufo, Sheriff of Suffolk County.
The meeting will be in order.
That's what I mean by this blend of dignity with irreverence. It's so special.
The chaplain of the day will open the exercises with prayer. Let us pray for the class of 1994 and for all of us gathered to celebrate their lives and accomplishments. God of truth, teach us to embrace the truth which makes us free. Direct the lives of this class in the way of truth, that they may know what is good and right and do it faithfully. God of wisdom, endow us with the wisdom which transforms knowledge into practical commitment. May this class join wisdom and knowledge in lives and careers which enhance the human life of others. God of justice, call us to generous lives which are expended in support of the vulnerable and the forgotten. Endow this class with the courage and conviction needed to serve and stand with those who bear the burden of injustice. God of peace, grant us your peace in our hearts and in our world, so that we may be free to build relationships of love and justice. May this class know your peace as a gift in their lives and carry your peace into the lives of others. All this we ask in faith and trust. Amen.
Brian Hare is both at St. Paul's Church in Cambridge and a professor of ethics at Harvard Divinity School.
Latin salutatory, ignorantium celebrare. Christopher Paul Scully, candidate for degree of Bachelor of Arts.
Salvete, prizes rudenstine, prizes vicarie gore, et praesentes cateri. Si huic convocationi mei socii, ad sit hospes quidam, si ad vena ignarus morum consuetudinisque nostrae, si vero, Johannes Harvard ipse, excede metallic exorgens rede vivus, certe confusi sint animi. Haec scilicet miretur noster conditor, cor in hoc die luci dapricoque, re universitatis intermissa, omnes una congregati sint, cor magna caterva, cor uinus ille pulcherimus, barbara lingua loquitur, quo postremo, he quirites, omnes Harvardian et Redcliffiensis, clarob diligentiam et gravitatem, tam laeti sunt. Hoc etiam miretur noster conditor, cor diebus ex omnibus hodie, ante diem quintum idus junias, congregati sunt. Hodie Jovis dies est, claros habetur ob regnatorem caelestium, ob ultimam canam domini nostri, ob Simpsones et Seinfeldensem. Nec non miretur, cor haec fiant nono die mensis, qui numerus claris est ob novem judices judicii supremi, ob sign insignitin tergum thadii gildiomorum, optimi gladiatoris pessimae partis, et ob novem denique vitas soculi, aeluri celeberrimi domus albae. Omit explicationem huius mensis, unium dico, hoc omito quod time iram deae, tantae nanimis caelestibus irae, quamquam non bene dies delectus est, causa tamen omnibus clarissima est, causa est celebratio. Hic congregati sumus, ut finem cursus in cepta hinc quatuor annos celebremus. Mos, enim idem, qui nos canis umbratilibus aut caelibibus conviviis frui iubet, nos hodie quoque gubernat, quamquam hic solemnis dies lenior quam illi videntur, tamen tumultuosus est, multae leges academicae nunc violantur, discipuli non student, professores operam nullam exigunt, hic ritus praeterea tempesti vincipit, non postorum temporis momenti septem. Hodie igitur celebramus quadriennium praeceptorum scientiaeque continue devoratae, sed cor haec eruditio quatuor per annos perduravit, nonne multis ex causis. Quid quarta nom Olympias agitur, quadriennio noster prizes moderator, aqua ian ut aqua candid absentibus, quadriennio rostra buffalonensia, collegii Americanae pilae pedales victores extiterunt, sed how frustra. Profecto, hoc spatiad multas res gravissimas bene accommodator, non solad res extracurricularias gustandas, sed etiam res academicas suscipiendas, vel mathematicam, vel scientiam vitae, vel chemiam, vel historiam, vel philosophiam, vel linguam latinam. Sed ex his et aliis disciplinis nulla quadriennio perdisci potest, non etiam haec ultima cum plerique conemur. Quae cum ita sint nostra praecepta fine hodierno terminantur, nam maximis documentis nobis discendumst, quantul in quatuoranis cognoverimus. Discipulis quidem hodie gradum susceptoris valida curiositas, potius quam immutabilis eruditio habendast, fater ignorantiam, et amplecti curiositatem, bonum et decorumst, sic faciendo, non solum fines nostros noscimus, sed etiam discero ficies omnita taptum meminerimus. Hodie, re vera, non quae nobis iam scita, sed quad huc inscita sunt celebramus. Non cognitionem scientiae, sed terminorum. Non denique finem eruditionis, sed initium. In tal ignoranti est, magna sapientia. Valete!
Senior English Address. Be something, do something. Michelle Dion Taylor, candidate for degree of Bachelor of Arts.
President Rudenstein, Vice President Gore, graduates, friends, and family, especially my family, who did not know I was going to do this. Today, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed because I'm graduating from college when kindergarten seemed like yesterday. I'm overwhelmed because I finally reached the stage in my life that I'm about to begin my career. I'm overwhelmed because I've met so many fascinating people here, learned so many things, completed so many problem sets, labs, papers, exams, and even survived the absolutely delectable cuisine offered here at Harvard and Radcliffe. I'm sure that this time is as amazing for you as it is for me, not only for the reasons I have mentioned, but also because we have received the priceless gift of a higher education. I'm sure you know that your higher education is a treasure that does not lose its value. It will create opportunities for you that many people can only dream of. With your education, you can change the world and make it a better place. The saying, ipsa scientia potesta est, is one of the few things that I remember from high school Latin. It means knowledge itself is power. This is true, but the knowledge we have gained here is only as valuable as our courage to apply it. As graduates, you will have to decide if you will share in the gift that you have received. Sitting beside you are people who can, and I hope one day will, make great changes in our world. Some of us will be in Washington, someday passing legislation that will make higher education more accessible to more people in this country. Some of us will be teachers and give our students the support Teachers who will give our students the support that we received so we could be here. Some of us will be physicians. Physicians who will care for the sick, including those who cannot afford care. And some of us will be lawyers. Lawyers who may even take on cases pro bono so that justice and not merely the law shall be served. Whether you are a big sibling, a Little League coach, a Sunday school teacher, an advisor, or the voice for someone who normally goes unheard, I encourage you to do something. Be something. In my freshman year, I volunteered in a public service program that served a needy area in Boston. The kids in this program had to contend with drug pushers, violence, murder, and poverty daily, while their families tried to create a safer, positive environment for them to grow up in. One day, a 7-year-old named Lewis came up to me and said, "Michelle, when I grow up, I want to go to Harvard, just like you." I believe that Lewis can attend Harvard one day, and realize that the hard environment that he now lives in does not have to be permanent if he receives the support from people like us, people who will share in the gift of their education. Some of you may be wondering why I called our college degree a gift, considering that you, your friends, and your family have spent so much money, time, and perhaps blood, toil, tears, and sweat to get it. But many of you should remember the Honor Society motto, "Hold high the torch of truth and knowledge." You did not light its glow. It was given to you by others, but it is your responsibility to keep it burning bright. Indeed, the educational process is not an independent endeavor. I'd like you to reflect for a moment on all the people that helped to bring you to the place where you are now. The sister who taught you how to spell, the brother who helped you with your science homework, the next door neighbor who helped to teach you how to ride a bike. Years later, when you're in college, these people were still there for you, providing you with a prayer, a care package, a surprise phone call just to say hello, and constant reminders to eat your vegetables. These people brought you to this place, they helped you to survive it, and they will contribute to your future. Now think about the lessons that you learned here, the friendships with your classmates, writing home and realizing what a distinct environment we have here, your relations with the Harvard community and its large array of socioeconomic classes, cultures, and attitudes. All of these, whether or not it is clear to you, have profited us and have contributed to this great gift. I'm sure that you share in my sentiment when I say, to all these people and the lessons that they taught me, including some lessons that I did not want to learn, I am eternally grateful. You may have noticed that I have not made any direct suggestions as to how you can use your gift of higher education to make this world a better place. You must make that decision. I hope you realize that the task before you won't be easy. As a great person once said, well, I don't know who originally said it, so I'll give the credit to my mom. That which is easy is seldom great. I hope that all of you share in your wealth. This may cause a lot of personal conflict in a seemingly selfish world. Nonetheless, I ask you to do it. Your attention and time can be more valuable than you realize and can inspire someone like Lewis to reach for the stars. Realize that your efforts may not have immediate effects, but as with any gift, your job is to give and not expect returns. Just hope that they will happen. Thank everyone that has brought you to this place. given you this gift. Continue to give the gift of education to someone else. Be something. Do something. Congratulations, everyone.
Graduate English address. The next goal, Robert Harry Greenstein Rader, candidate for degree of Doctor of Laws.
We did it! After all the hard work and all the sacrifices, we've achieved our goal. Mission accomplished! Now, it's Miller time! Here we are at commencement, when we gather together to congratulate ourselves on achieving our goals. Our shared goal of graduating. To paraphrase the talking heads, how did we get here? We sacrificed. We worked hard. We studied. We pulled all-nighters. We came, we saw, we highlighted. SATs, ACTs, GREs, MCATs, LSATs, GMATs, JFK, MLK, LBJ, OCS. But all that work had a purpose because we had a goal. We deferred gratification. We didn't go to all the parties. We didn't hang out for pizza and beer. We didn't watch television. Okay, we didn't watch all the television we could have. In the end, though, it paid off because we had a goal. Now we're here, all of us who attained our goals. And the question is, what do we do next? I mean, after lunch. Well, now we're supposed to set our sights on the next goal, the next objective. And so we prepare to climb the next mountain and plant our flag on the summit. I have a confession to make. I have doubts about the next goal. Sir Edmund Hillary said he climbed Mount Everest because it was there. Is that enough? Can I commit my life to achieving things because they're there? Just because society builds mountains for us, does that mean we should climb them? Because even if we do succeed, what have we succeeded at? Will our lives consist of jumping through one hoop after another? How many hoops are there? Achieve this, accomplish that. When does it end? Where do all these accomplishments get us? What if we go to Wall Street, or Hollywood, or even Washington, D.C.? What if we get the residency we want, or become an associate at a prestigious firm? What if we go to the right graduate school? What next? After we climb the mountain, will the view from the top be worth it? Or are we too busy climbing to even think about what happens when we reach the top? What if there is no top? Can I take an elevator? Look, I'm not advocating sitting around introspecting all the time like characters in a bad French film. But it's important on this day to question not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Whose dream are we living? Ours? Our families? Our societies? After all, what are goals? Groucho Marx said, "You've got a goal, I've got a goal, now all we need is a football team." My family and friends have told me a zillion times, "Rob, you're the most goal-oriented person we know," which they generally mean as a compliment. Yet, sometimes this fixation, this obsession with achievement frightens me. Sure, it's gotten me here, can't deny that. If I ever do end up making a living, implausible though that must seem to most of you at this moment, I'll have my ability to work and sacrifice for my goals to thank for it. But this ability has also robbed me of so many opportunities to enjoy myself without worrying whether I was getting things done. How have I controlled myself? Let me count the ways. Constantly writing lists of things to do, frantically checking my watch, obsessively calling up my voicemail. Now I even own the ultimate tool to control my life, calendar date book. See? June 9th, 10:20, give graduation speech. 10:25, receive crowd's adulation. Thank you, thank you. You call that adulation? But if we spend all our time controlling ourselves in order to achieve our goals, when will we have truly lived? How can you stop and smell the roses when you're already eyeing the orchids farther down, and when you're planning on visiting the azaleas across the street? My tunnel vision on achievement has done a lot for me. It's a part of me. I couldn't get rid of it even if I tried. But it can't be all of me, because I am more than my goals. I am not just my resume. I know what I'm saying is anathema to this institution. At Harvard, virtue is defined by achievement. That's the gospel according to John Harvard. Thank you, Pilgrim Fathers. But the problem we face is not working for our goals, but escaping from them. We're people, not goals. We must build lives that include accomplishment, but are not defined exclusively by accomplishment. How do we free ourselves from this tyranny of achievement? I'm the last person to ask. Last month, I sat indoors typing away on this speech when it was as day and nice as today. But here I am giving it. Yet another goal achieved on this day to celebrate achieving our goals. Maybe we don't have to make every moment of our time productive. Instead of a lifetime of narrowly focusing on goal after goal, gradually losing our zest, our spontaneity, maybe we can enjoy the ride. Instead of constantly charting our course, maybe we can hang 10 on the waves of time. Yes, the fear of wasting my time, my ability, my life haunts me, as it haunts you. The only way to conquer this fear, however, is to do what we find most difficult. Relax. Enjoy. Savor the moment. In the movie Stripes, there's a line that's good advice for everyone here. Lighten up, Francis. And that's what we should all do. I'm saying, lighten up, Harvard. Along the same lines, Ralph Waldo Emerson, a famously goal-oriented graduate of this university, wrote, "To be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you into something else, that is the greatest achievement of all." But will we realize this achievement? Can we learn to define ourselves without falling back on our accomplishments? Can we just be and not always do? Finally, can we be more than our resumes? That is our next goal.